Welcome back to Round the Bases Extra Innings. Joel Goldberg, Andrew Dowis. Check out the audio version of this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Some really incredible stuff about taking care of employees post-pandemic, giving them a voice, rewarding them. And if you are a company right now trying to figure out working from home, hybrid, whatever it might be in this changing world, you might get some really great ideas from Andrew's conversation with me. So let me hit you with four final questions as we round the bases. You're standing in front of what looks to me like a lot of Negro Leaguers with the Kansas City Monarchs. And that, I know, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, you're both in Kansas City, has been incredibly important. And the pandemic really gave you an opportunity to dive right in with something that maybe you wouldn't have had the chance to do before. Tell me about that.
Yeah, pandemic started and we're looking at our core values thinking, hey, how can we continue to live these out? And, one of them is about embracing stewardship. So even though our business was suffering, how can we help others that might be suffering even more? And, first always turn to kind of the baseball world because that's what we live in. And man, people can't go to the museum. How are they going to get by? How's this going to work? So we reached out to Bob and said, hey, how can we take the stories of the Negro Leagues and put them in the living rooms of people all across the country, the world, for that matter. And it was pretty easy. We presented them the idea. Our video team went down there. And then, as you know, all you got to do is turn the camera on and let that man do his work. And it's easy after that. But we rolled out a series called Storied, and it was 22 stories of the Negro Leagues as told by Bob Kendrick, 22 stories to honor Buck O'Neil. But it ended up being one of the funnest things to work on, during the pandemic, and hopefully one of the most impactful as well.
Yeah, and Buck O'Neil wore number 22, and there is not a better storyteller that I know than Bob Kendrick.
No doubt.
I think I feel pretty safe at saying that. There's some great storytellers out there, but not at his level. I think Buck O'Neil was that way. He is an extension of Buck O'Neil. Okay, second question as we round the bases. I know that your company so often is honored for its culture, and I know that's really the most important thing because it's something that all of you could share in. But how about for you personally, and I think this is an extension of your people as well, to be named the 2020 Small Business of the Year Mr. K Award winner? What did that mean to you personally?
Wow. I think personally, I think it just meant that the city views what we're doing up here as, something cool, and that it's something that the Kaufman family, would think was great. And I think it meant a lot to me that our employees could kind of say, hey, I work for a company that a lot of people think is awesome. And it was important for me also to be able to work really hard to give that to Scott Hedrick, and his parents who started the company. I can't think of anyone that reminds me of Mr. Kaufman more than Scott Hedrick. And it just felt really good to be able to do that for them and, for our employees. And again, just that validation that, because, we do run business different than a lot of companies. And you sometimes wonder, is this, I know it's the best way, but you sometimes are like, man, no one else really does it like this. But to get validated by the community, the Kansas City community, that you're doing something special meant a lot.
Okay, third question as we round the bases. I'll go more on the personal side here. I'm curious, growing up, what you wanted to be, what you dreamed of doing, because you couldn't have really envisioned the way this all turned out, because this is just so unique. And to add to that as well, if the research is right, were there really 18 kids in your graduating class in high school?
Oh, man. Yeah, that is true. 18 kids in my graduating class. And that was the biggest class they'd had ever. So I moved around a lot as a kid. At Jefferson High School. It's a very small town, obviously, about an hour and a half north of Kansas City. So up close to like Northwest Missouri State University, about 15 minutes from there. And we moved around. My dad was in education, so I had 2 or 3 different stops, but that's where I graduated high school from. All of them were small, but this one was like next level small. So, yeah, I mean, probably like a lot of kids, I wanted to play in the NBA. That was one thing I wanted to do when I was young. But as I kind of got a little bit older, I started just sports was always a constant. And it's like, man, how do you, knowing I can't play any of these sports, how do you become involved? And, you have the thoughts of coaching and different things like that. But I love the challenge, a business challenge. I felt something in my life every time I would look at something or have a job, you're always trying to make it better. It's that entrepreneurial spirit, that you didn't know that's actually what it was when you were a kid. And so, yeah, it was always something in sports. I just didn't really know what, coaching or, being in the front office or whatever those things might be, I think are common when you're a kid. But when I stopped playing all the sports, you have this like a little bit of a letdown. Where's the competition going to come from now? And I found that competition and that fire with business, and probably more so than I ever had with sports. So.
Where were you in the 18 in terms of graduating?
I think I was up maybe like 3. I think I was up 3. So yeah, but it was an interesting place. Just went back up there not that long ago. They're kind of like the basketball programs are really good. And they're like kind of like Hoosiers. The gym's like one side bleachers, the end line's like 2 feet from the wall's like 2 feet from the baseline. It's pretty unique.
I think it's if you don't tell people that you're in a class of 18, then you could say, well, I graduated 3rd in my class. Or if you were last, you just be like, I graduated 18th in my high school class. Wow, that's amazing. Which if I graduated 18 in my class of 400, I would have been a lot smarter than I am at this point. I don't know where I was, but it wasn't, it wasn't 18. Last question, the walk-off for me. I know you and I have talked about this a little bit before too, and it's the ultimate compliment to pro athlete and all of your people that there is always a waiting list. I don't know if you need to list a job, maybe you list them, but it's not like you're going to struggle to find someone. How hard is it to get a job at pro athlete?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. There's typically a pretty long line. Even if we don't have jobs, we have an avenue for people to like sign up to what we call our fan club. But yeah, it's changed a little bit over the last couple of years. Now people can work remote and stuff like that. So slightly different, but it is difficult to get in here. We're always hiring for culture first and skills second. And that, has always been the way we've done it. And I believe for our business, that's the best way. We can teach you, what you need to be taught, but we just have such a rich history of people coming in, answering phones, working in the warehouse, whatever it is, and working their way up. I'm an example of that. The majority of our management team is an example of that. We're all products of a really good organization. I always talk about, football. You got to have probably the right ownership, a good GM, good head coach, and a good quarterback. That all really has to align for you, to go out and win Super Bowls. If you're missing one of those pieces, you see it. A great quarterback, why can't they work in this system? Well, maybe the offensive system wasn't, the best for them. We're very much that here. I'm a product through and through of a great organization, and I might not be doing a lot in another organization, and that holds true for everybody here. But it is difficult to get in, but once you get in, you get the opportunity of a lifetime. So sign up for the fan club, if you want. And we take a look at every single person that applies.
How can they do that? Is it a website or?
Yeah, go to proathleteinc.com, and then there's a career tab up at the top. Everything you need to know should be right there. The jobs we have listed, and then there should be a spot below there to sign up for the fan club.
Good stuff. And I know you already mentioned it, but the Hedrick family and Scott, they'll never ask for the attention, because Scott's one of the humblest and quietest guys that any of us have ever met. And so if he's watching this, I just wanted to give him that shout out. I know he's never looking for it either. But again, everybody, check out the audio version of the podcast, and wherever you get your podcasts, share it. And also check out the website, proathleteinc.com. Andrew, once again, as always, appreciate the time. A lot of fun.
Thanks. Hey, Joel, was there a pitch clock on us when we were rounding the bases there, or was there not? No? No pitch clock?
Well, there wasn't on me, because I probably still talk too much. I'm working on it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thanks, man. It was awesome.
It's an adjustment. It's a heck of an adjustment, no doubt about it, but a good thing as well. Thanks, Andrew.
For sure. Yeah, thank you.